Hey, this is Digital Deepak here, and I want to make a follow-up video to the previous video that I posted about MicroStartup. So first, let's look at the traction that this new channel and new content has got. So the MicroStartup English channel has already got 144 subscribers, and the video has got 928 views. And if I open the video, we can see that there are 24 comments. And I have also posted a Tamil channel for my Tamil audience. And here you can see that this particular channel has got 78 subscribers. And this particular video has got a little bit more comments than my previous video in English, which was 24 comments, and we have got 30 comments here. So maybe the Tamil community is a little bit more excited and the response is better there. So obviously this distribution did not come via YouTube itself. It came from the distribution that I already have, which is my email list. And one small thing that you have to keep in mind about MicroStartup and what I am doing as Digital Deepak is that I already have a certain brand following and a brand image, which you might not have. But what can I do about it? It is there. Obviously, I'm going to tell my audience that this is something that I'm doing. But you can definitely take inspiration from what I am doing. It took me 10 years for me to build this, but it is not necessary that you need another 10 years to build the kind of following that I have. Because out of these 10 years, almost 5-6 years, I was working in corporate and I was hardly doing anything. So it's only a focused effort of around 2-3 years after 2020, which helped me build this following. So in this video, I want to address something which came as a feedback from some of my close circle of friends. And they told me that, Deepak, aren't you focusing on too many things with MicroStartup? It's a valid question. It does look like I'm focusing on too many things, but I will tell you the reason behind it and my approach, that when I actually execute things, it won't be necessarily the fact that I will be focusing on too many things, right? So as of now, the company registration process is going on. The company is not registered yet. We have not got the incorporation certificate yet. I will make a separate video about the incorporation process as well. Then we will be opening bank accounts, and then I will be launching my inner circle where I expect the initial amount of revenue to trickle in. And that also I will tell it to you transparently on how much revenue we made and stuff like that. So as of now, microstartup.com just has a countdown timer. I had targeted for everything to be up and running by April 25th, which is my birthday. So another 9 days to go, but it might take a little bit more than that to get the company incorporated as well. So I have made a mind map with this software called Mind Node for Mac. And this helps me kind of take notes and explain things in a structured manner. So coming to the question, am I focusing on too many things at once? Valid question, but what I will be doing is that I will be primarily focused on content creation. But I'm not a typical YouTuber, right? Like you see a lot of YouTubers on YouTube. There are YouTubers with 10 million followers as well. And if you look at their content, what they primarily do is that they talk about politics, they talk about current affairs. Some people interview a bunch of different guests, like we have Raj Shamani and Beer Biceps, who primarily grew their channel by interviewing very interesting guests. And their growth came because of the faces of the guests who were already popular people. So they come to the podcast, they talk about any topic. Sometimes it's health, sometimes it's politics, sometimes it's about the ongoing war situation in the world and random stuff. So I don't want to become a YouTuber like that, even though I say I will be focusing on content only. And this will also mean that I'm not creating videos like Mr. Beast with a hook and with an exciting intro and with a lot of editing. I will not be putting so much energy into editing these videos, because these videos are created for a much more niche audience like you, who is interested in building a profitable startup and not necessarily interested in creating your own YouTube media empire, right? Because when you are trying to create a media empire and just try to scale with content, there is going to be a lot of problems. First of all, your audience is going to be very generic. and that audience is not going to buy any products from you. The only way that these typical YouTubers with millions of followers earn money is via sponsorships. And then you have a manager who will handle that sponsorships. They are like a media company. They don't have a funnel and they don't have products. So here we are going to focus on services, which is the deep marketing agency, and a startup course called Startup Launchpad, which will teach you how to build a startup from scratch. And it will have very in-depth content. So I am attracting only people like that. And 90% of the audience out on social media, they are just coming to social media or coming to online for entertainment. They already have a job, they do something, and they are coming here for entertainment and some general knowledge. And that is not the audience that I am attracting. I am attracting the people who want to build their own profitable startup, either with services or with education, and later using platform and software. And a lot of these startup entrepreneurs out there are making very good money, but they don't have any personal brand. And that's how the real business scenario is. And that's where you will have the highest chance of making some real life-changing wealth, where the wealth that you are generating or the cash flow that you are generating is enough to quit your full-time job and build your own startup and become a startup founder. So since I am targeting only this audience, I am okay with any kind of following that I get. I am not necessarily having a target that, hey, I need 1 million followers or become like a social media celebrity, nor do I have any aspiration to get a creator award from the Prime Minister or anything like that, right? Here, we are just focusing on creating products and services for people so that we can generate revenue through that. I will be creating courses, obviously, for the 3 different customer avatars that I already spoke about. So refreshing that: employee, freelancer, startup founder, and investor. And this particular content is focused on startup founders, but there will be a lot of people who are just beginning and they will be wanting a job, wanting to become an employee or wanting to become a freelancer. So because startups and digital marketing are so interrelated, and I've already had good traction with the micro internship program, which is focused on helping people get the jobs, and Mastery Club, which is focused on in-depth technical courses, which helps people get jobs or start freelancing on their own. That will be part of the education section. But this is where most of the focus will be. And I will be building a separate funnel for this particular target customers as well, which I will explain in a different video. All right, so coming back to that, the entire idea of MicroStartup is that I just don't want to become a startup coach or a business coach and make a lot of money and tell the world that, hey, look, I'm a successful startup entrepreneur. But how did I become a successful startup entrepreneur? I did that by selling a startup course. Then I'm not really satisfied with that. Yes, there are people who do that, but I want to actually build a services startup, which is deep marketing. So that's where the focus will be initially. So more energy will be focused on deep marketing while I document this journey with content like this before I create a startup course. And I will wait at least until the agency gets to 1 crore per year in revenue. And I will be having an operator for that. I'll be having a co-founder for the deep marketing agency who will do the day-to-day operations, including client work and client management. And I will be making videos with him. I will be introducing him to the audience as well. And every week I will ask an update from him that kya chal raha hai agency mein. And then we will be learning from him also that how an agency is being built. So I will be primarily the guy who is pulling in good quality clients through my personal brand and through my distribution, which will include a lot of content creation, because you can't do both things at the same time. Even agency owners who are looking for clients right now are trying to create content to build some authority to bring in the clients. You know how competitive the agency market is. You cannot build a successful agency unless you have a strong personal brand and an authority in the market. And this authority in the market will come from only content creation, which means that in a typical agency, one person has to focus on content and another person has to focus on the operations. And the person focusing on operations probably cannot spend full time creating content like writing books, writing blog posts, creating videos like this. I will also tell you where the inspiration for this has come from. So there is a startup studio called Late Checkout. And this studio is created by this guy called Greg Eisenberg. And let's have a look at Greg's homepage, Greg's studio. So latecheckout.studio is his website. I'm not particularly very impressed with the design of this website, but he has definitely created something unique, which is like a theme park design. And here, if you click on this link, you can see there is contact us, careers, community empire, newsletter, late checkout, the headquarters. And he has a company called Dispatch. This is a design agency. And I think he has Fortune 500 companies taking services from him. So a design partner to scale revenue, book a 30-minute call. So he has a co-founder for this design agency who takes care of the day-to-day operations of this design agency. He has a SEO company called boringmarketing.com. And here you can see Boring Marketing is focused on helping clients scale their sales with SEO. And the way he has built Boring Marketing is that for Boring Marketing also he has a co-founder. And this particular co-founder takes care of the sales in US. And then there is an execution team in India where they outsource to. And here you can see he calls this person as the boring marketer. He has not revealed the face. But there is a guy called James Dickerson. And I also booked a call with them to understand how their sales process works. And what they do is that they do a 30-day sprint first. And the 30-day sprint is $3,000, $2,997, where they give a SEO audit of the website. They create new keyword opportunities for them to rank on the clients. They create a step-by-step 12-month SEO 2.0 growth roadmap. And they also give projections for future traffic KPI and revenue to track ROI. So if you book a call with them, they will first try to sell you on the 30-day sprint, so which is like a tripwire for the agency and entry point. And once this 12-month roadmap is presented to them after 30 days, they convert them into a recurring client for an entire 1-year contract, where instead of just telling them what to implement, they will implement it for them. So now Greg does not necessarily take care of the day-to-day operations of boringmarketing.com, but through his Twitter following and through his personal brand, he is able to get clients for Boring Marketing, and that's how it will be with me, where initially through my distribution and personal brand and content creation, I will be bringing in clients for deep marketing. And deep marketing will execute the projects for the clients, and we'll have a co-founder or an operator for this company. So he has this personal website called Greg Eisenberg. So my personal website, digitaldeepak.com, will become something like this. And you can check out his LinkedIn profile. He has more than 1 lakh followers on LinkedIn. And he talks about startup ideas and he talks about marketing as well here. He has a Twitter following of 380K followers, primarily by talking about startups. And he has a YouTube channel with 435 videos, but he has only 15,000 subscribers. So why doesn't he have lakhs of subscribers already? Probably because he is focusing on startups, and the target market for high quality audience like startups and people who want to build a startup, it's not the mass audience out there. It's a niche audience. But even though he has only 15,000 subscribers, each of his videos has got around, let's say, if you look at the videos here, let's look at the latest videos. So 3,700 views, 2,500 views, 1,600 views, which is pretty decent, right? For the target audience, which is startups. So this is where the inspiration for me comes from. And I already had ideas for MicroStartup, but everybody was telling the same thing to me that, hey, is it practical to focus on multiple things? Is it even okay to focus on multiple things? But he's doing it. And I got a validation for my own approach that MicroStartup will be a holding company which is going to incubate multiple startups. And MicroStartup Studio will be my company, which will be similar to Late Checkout. So if he is doing it successfully, and I heard that he is making around $10 million a year in revenue, combined revenue of all the startups that he is running. And he is probably spending back $9 million back into the startup. So he might be taking home $1 million a year in personal income. Approximately maybe 500,000 to $1 million, but he's having a lot of fun doing it. I heard that he sold his startup to WeWork previously, and with his startup experience, he has got this startup studio. So it's like a mini Berkshire Hathaway is what he calls it. There was a separate video that he published with some other podcaster, and he calls it a mini Berkshire Hathaway, and that's what we are trying to do here, right? Use my personal brand and distribution and content to bring in the clients, bring in visibility, but then incubate multiple startups. Tomorrow there can even be a UI UX agency under MicroStartup, and I will get a guy who has experience in UI UX to create app designs for the clients, and that will also come through my own distribution. And whatever money that I start making by selling the startup course, that I will be continuously reinvesting back into building more distribution for my content. And as I recommend all startup owners, it is advisable not to withdraw a very huge salary for yourself during the first 2 to 3 years of building your startup. And you will be able to see the finances once our bank accounts and company is incorporated, and once the bank accounts are ready, I will be showing you how much money that I am making, right? So there will be 2 levels of transparency. One level of transparency is the public channels where I talk about this, which includes my YouTube channel and probably a blog dedicated to MicroStartup itself. So I will start it at blog.microstartup.com, just giving updates about MicroStartup. If you look at my Digital Deepak blog, here it's probably like more of generic content. Here you can see that I did announce that I am launching MicroStartup here on this blog. But here I talk about anything and everything. So one of the posts was don't buy a house and get a motorcycle. The latest post is self-doubt and the desire to predict the future. So Digital Deepak channel, YouTube channel, and the Digital Deepak blog will be more like whatever is going on with my personal life, my personal thoughts about entrepreneurship and everything. While the MicroStartup YouTube channel and MicroStartup blog will be just about the updates on what is happening with MicroStartup in weekly and monthly basis. So here you can see blog.digitaldeepak.com is where I talk about anything and everything. So here this post performed very well. How these 7 addictions and habits ruin our goals. So I don't want to necessarily become like a self-development coach or something, but I do believe that personal development and willpower, discipline is so important for you to become a successful startup founder. So a cohort of audience will just follow me on MicroStartup, but there will be a cohort of people who will also want to follow me on blog.digitaldeepak.com. So this is how I am going to segregate my content creation. So getting back to this, as I said, I will be hiring CEOs and co-founders for each project, and they have to share their progress in public with me. So that it will be on a podcast format, where if the agency has a co-founder, and he will be updating every week on what happened with the agency, how many clients that he reached out to. And if possible, we will also show you the proposals that we built for the client. So I need helping hands to do this, obviously. So deep marketing will have the CEO or operator, as I told you. And what we are going to do initially is that we will just create a separate bank account for deep marketing just to keep its finances separate. And there will be a separate bank account for the education that I do, but it will be all part of the same private limited company, which is MicroStartup Studio. If deep marketing alone gets to multi-crore a year revenue, then we can create a separate company called Deep Marketing Digital Private Limited or something like that, which will be a subsidiary of MicroStartup, where MicroStartup will hold 70 or 80% majority equity in deep marketing. And the rest of the 20 to 30% equity will be held by the CEO or operator, who will become a co-founder of deep marketing. But that I cannot do right away, because I need to hire the CEO or operator and see his performance for the next 2 to 3 years. And if he is really becoming somebody that is not replaceable, then I will give him equity on a separate registered company as deep marketing. Another way that I can do it is that I can give him equity on MicroStartup itself, because at some point deep marketing will start throwing away a lot of profit, and that profit we can take and invest in the software and the platform, which needs capital. So when that happens, then I will probably give him some equity either in MicroStartup or create a separate company called Deep Marketing. So that is the purpose of Deep Marketing agency, right? It's not the goal that I want to grow Deep Marketing itself into a multi-billion-dollar agency. One purpose is to show that you can start generating initial cash flow and profit by running a services company, because services company is a very distributed opportunity out there. It's not like one services company will take away all the opportunity. When you look at Google, Google has pretty much taken away the entire search engine market. Like 95% of the people use Google. But when it comes to services sector, even though there are so many big digital marketing agencies out there, even a digital marketing freelancer or a new agency owner still gets opportunity, because services is difficult to scale. And that's one of the reasons that I want to eventually move the profits from the agency into a software company, which is much more scalable. And as I told you, I don't want to become a typical business coach. I want to show people how business is done, and then eventually maybe sell the Startup Launchpad course. So Startup Launchpad course may be anywhere from 6 months to 1 year away before I can launch it. Until then, I will probably launch a product in the education category called Inner Circle, which will have a deeper level of transparency, maybe even letting them attend our team calls. So that will be the Inner Circle, which I will be talking about soon. and that will come under the education category. So if you go back to this keynote, this is what I recommend every startup founder to do in their own niche. And in my own niche, what I am doing is that education, which will include digital marketing courses and startup courses. And people who buy the startup courses will also get the digital marketing courses for their team. So this will be a good revenue maker. But the validation or the confidence that people will develop on Digital Deepak that I am the right mentor will come because I am also doing services and doing real business, showing you how much revenue I am making. Then eventually the profit from education and services will be rolled over into software and platform. So company registration process for MicroStartup is going on. And I will also create a separate video on what is the process involved in registering a private limited company and why I choose private limited company instead of, let's say, OPC private limited or LLP. I might even be able to bring in my CA and my financial consultant to a podcast. He's very busy, but I will try to do that. And I can only create more content as you give me more feedback on what is it that you exactly want to know. So that's about it for this video, guys. And I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.